Okay, I'm gonna be making my first sourdough starter. So it says on day one, get a bowl, and I'll be adding in 4 tablespoons of water, and then I'll stir in 1 level tablespoon of flour with the sourdough starter. This sourdough starter is from like 1942. I'll have to look again to get the exact date, but I remember 1942. So I think that's really funny how it dehydrates and lasts that long. Pretty amazing. If I don't use it, I'll hope I know how to dehydrate it again after the summer. I only plan to do the sourdough this summer, so we'll see how this goes. So I hope I have success on it. All right, so I got my sourdough starter in there. Now I'm gonna add in 4 tablespoons of water and 1 level tablespoon of flour. And then I'm gonna cover it and wait a day and see where it goes. Okay, I stirred in my flour, my water, and my sourdough starter. This is to cover with plastic until tomorrow. Okay, I'm on day 2 of the sourdough starter here. And all I gotta do is add in 1 tablespoon of flour and 1 teaspoon of water. And then I give it a good stir, and then I cover it back up again. Yes. Day 2. All right, now I'm ready to, this is day 4. So I did day 3, and it's day 4 now. So I'm gonna transfer my sourdough starter to my mason jar. And then I'm gonna be adding in 1/3 cup of flour and 1/4 cup of water, and then I'm gonna stir it up. And it needs to be kind of spongy. So we're gonna see how this goes. This is my first time adding it to a mason jar. So, okay, I have it in my mason jar all ready to go. And it calls for that 1/3 cup of flour. I'm gonna just level it off here a little bit, make sure it's exact. And 1/4 cup of water, and I'm gonna give it a good stir. And I think this would be, after this is just the feeding phase now. I'm using the spoon that I won in a Facebook contest. Local crafter makes these wooden spoons, so it's perfect to get this down in the jar and give it a good stir. And then I'll be on to day 5 tomorrow. And I'm not sure when I'll be able to start my first sourdough bread, but it's gonna start rising from this point. And I'll have a good starter going here. It's looking good. It's mixing in well. It's kind of got a thick texture to it. So let's get a peek in there. So this is the way that you want your starter to look. Real bubbly, and it's fermenting. This jar, I had 3 jars and 1 has doubled in size. This one's almost doubled in size, but it's doing good. I'll probably let it sit all day tonight, and then I'll try to feed some tomorrow and see where it goes from there. You got to take some out and then you refeed it, and then it has the yeast growing in there. Okay, so I am on day about 4 or 5, maybe 6, I don't know. But I have been working with this sourdough starter. It hasn't been easy. I've had to watch a lot of YouTube videos and keep trying over and over again. So I got 4 jars of sourdough starter, and finally today it has doubled in size over the black mark I made right here. So that means it's ready to be used. It has taken me a while. So I'm ready to start my first sourdough loaf. And I know this is kind of like something you have to practice quite a bit to get just right, but gotta be a first time for that. So I gotta be very precise on the measurements. And so it gives me a very basic recipe, and I will come back when I've mixed everything up. All right, sourdough making is definitely a process. So I mixed everything up the way it's said on the recipe, and then now I have it covered up for the first round right here. It's supposed to sit for an hour with a damp cloth on it. And then I'm gonna knead it 4 different times before I put it in the fridge for 24 hours or 12 hours, depending on which I want to do. So they said the longer you let it sit, the more sour it'll be. So I'll come back and I'll show you the finished product before I put it in the refrigerator. Okay, I finally baked my sourdough bread after all that time. It was just a learning curve to understand the sourdough starter. Otherwise, the bread itself doesn't take that long. But I decided to make some spaghetti with it today, since spaghetti and sourdough go good together. So I got my sauce cooking over there. And I'm just gonna use some bow tie pasta. And then it says to let this cool for 2 hours so that it's not real chewy. So we're gonna time it, and it looks really good. So if this turns out good, I'm gonna be making some more. I got my sourdough starters in the fridge. So when I get ready to make another one, I'll have the sourdough starter all ready, and I won't have to do all that part. Just make the bread. But there's nothing like fresh bread. I actually did it. I made sourdough, and it actually tastes like sourdough, and it's so good. I can't believe it. After all that time, I made it all by myself. My first sourdough loaf. Now time for dinner.